Okay, I want to thank everyone for joining me today. If you're joining for your first time on one of my trainings, I will warn you, I do throw up on everyone and I talk a lot about a lot of things. So I'm going to try to be very efficient with this training because I know we haven't really done one in some time and a lot of things have changed, or at least a lot of little cool things that you probably have no idea exist when it comes to client portals, membership pages, personalizing the back end as far as what you want your clients to see, and just go over some of the settings and the user roles, and just talk about some of the custom profile fields and how you can personalize messages and kind of give your users a default view when they log in that's a little different than our system. And like always, I'll stick around after I go through this to answer any questions about the system. So it doesn't have to be about what I'm showing today. Just drop them in chat. As a matter of fact, I'm going to open up my chat here so I can be a little bit better as far as responding within here. So again, just if you think of a question, throw it in here. I'll try to monitor as it goes. And like I said, when I'm done, we'll go through each one of those. So what I'm going to cover today is 100% centered around the client portal type of environment that you would want to set up. So typically, if you compare it to a membership platform, you're going to want either custom pages or iframe certain tools or things like that, or you may want to you just have a mesh between what we offer and what you currently offer outside of what Ligna provides as far as the feature functionality. And it all starts around the hierarchy of users. So I'm going to talk about that just for a minute. And I know the new ones on the call and probably some on the call today likely are confused about the, I would say, just the ecosystem that you can set up. So what's really cool about what we have going on with Ligna is that, you can brand the whole platform yourself, right? So if you're doing this for your business, obviously having your brand back there, your salespeople, your internal reps, or if you're servicing clients, them seeing your brand is super important. However, you may have clients, or you may want to go out there and offer Ligna as a platform, under your brand, and give your users the ability to brand themselves. And so there's two different types of users in our platform. There's a parent account. So when you click Add User here, you have the option of selecting either a parent account or a role. A parent account is exactly like you. There's no difference. They have no limitations. The only difference between you and a parent account is that parent account's tied to you. Their limits are essentially tied to your overall arcing limits, right? So, whatever license you signed up for, that's your entire ecosystem shares your limits. Now, you do have the ability to create, limits for parent accounts, users, roles, products, and I'll kind of go over that briefly and explain that. But the real cool thing about it is when you create a parent account, they can actually create a parent account themselves. Each time you create a parent account under your brand, under your system account, it inherits your brand. So obviously you're going to want your brand all set up. You want your domain set up. That way, they never see Ligna whenever you create a parent account, because a parent account can actually create their own parent account. And that parent account can create their own parent account, and they can all brand themselves, and it goes to infinite levels. One thing I was pointing out today in the support chat, which I can see gets confusing. One of the things that happens when you create users, you can log in as this user at any moment by clicking on the email address or clicking on the manage user icon. This essentially turns you into that user. What happens if I go into this user account, up here on the top right, you'll see the user that you're actually logged into. It goes as deep as you want to go, right? So let's say you created a parent account, and then somebody else created a parent account, somebody else created a parent account. You as a system account have visibility in all of those customers, all the way down to infinite levels. But if you're going to go into one parent account and then you see their parent accounts and you log into that parent account and then you log into another parent account, you're 4 levels deep. So when you click on this log out button, you're actually back at the user above you, and then you have to log out again, and then now you're in the user above you. And so you're basically doing that 4 times. So just think about, as you log into your ecosystem, when you log out, you're going back up to get to your original user. That can get a little confusing, especially if you're trying to set up your hierarchy initially, because you may not realize that you're in that parent account that you just created. And so you created another parent account, and somehow you finally got back to the system account and you're like, what the heck, where did that parent account go? Well, that parent account's actually associated with the parent account you just added. So a little confusing, but super cool when you start realizing, the potential of, infinite levels of parent accounts, and especially if you're creating, the ability for client portals. That's going to give you that whole hierarchy or leg off your platform. Now, child accounts are directly related to whatever parent account set up. So for instance, in your system account, if you created child accounts, they have to be associated with a role. So that role is where you're going to define what views they see, what access modules they have to the back end, what custom pages, basically configuring their view. That's different than your view, right? Because you're a system account, but that child account is tied to your specific account. Now, the parent accounts that you set up can do the same thing. So when you start looking at what type of client do I want to add, is this client going to ever want to set up their own brand? If it's no, then okay, they may be perfect for a child user role. Are they going to want to set up their own users and manage those users? It still can be a child account, because you can set up what are called teams. I'll talk about teams in just a second, right? So really the I guess, qualification of whether it should be a parent account or a child account is if they're going to want to leverage what parent accounts can do. So brand the entire system, set up their own custom pages in their own portal, set up, products and subscriptions, and, they want to create their own courses and knowledge base center and all those things, right? So there's pieces back here that are only available for top level parent accounts. The reason for those is because all of them are driven by roles, and you can configure the backend for that. So if you become much more versed in how to do this and set customers up, there's a huge niche as far as selling these configurations and setups. We call them done for you setups, right? And we sell several a day, actually a lot a day, and it's an extremely profitable act once you understand how to set this up, because it's not terribly difficult. I know it's exhausting hearing people say that it's so easy to get back here and do things. But once you get the hang of it, to go to a business that wants to have a customized CRM, wants to have their sales material or their assets loaded in the back end. They want to create some courses. They want this more personalized, platform. And you know how to set all that up. People pay big money for that, right? And so there's a monetization standpoint that you can most certainly push and get them configured. Of course, obviously, because it's your brand and they need to be able to kind of self-build themselves. If you're selling SaaS, they're gonna have the same type of learning curve that you have. But the whole point is that if you're gonna have a client like that, you're gonna want to set them up of a parent account, right? If they're just a client of your marketing services, you're building them a quick website, maybe you're giving them access to CRM, they may have a couple salespeople, they don't care about their brand, they just want to be able to manage their salespeople, manage their CRM. Certainly a child role will work for that. Every single one of our agencies that we do white label services for, their clients in most cases want their website built, they want their marketing done for them, they want to be able to log in and see reporting, where they're ranking, their phone calls. They want to lightly manage their leads, and those clients come in and they get a little taste of the platform. What ends up happening is those clients raise their hand and say, hey, wait a minute, I would like to do more with the platform. And now the white label agency has the option of, moving them into a parent account, or, offering, just more access to the platform in general. So I hope that kind of summarizes a little bit about your differentiator between a parent account and a child role. Now, your limitations of setting up a parent account, and we've have a lot of things in the works to make it more of a collaboration between parent accounts. Think of it as separate instances. So if you're familiar with like server infrastructures and things like that, especially with AWS, you can create a server instance, a whole nother instance of your account. They're almost siloed in their own existence, right? So you as a system account holder, you can't share workspaces with them. You can't add them as collab users to things. They're really just kind of out there, separate from you, even though you can access them. So there is some limitations when you think of it that way. We are working in the way that we've done our theme engine, right? So our theme engine allows you to share, your themes across your parent accounts and your entire ecosystem and things like that. So we are working to allow more, or not more, actual collaboration with your parent accounts. So there may be a scenario like that too, where, of course, any people on your sales team, you're going to want to collaborate with them in some way, shape, or form with a shared workspace. So that would justify, a child account, any internal employees, salespeople, marketing people, support. Those are all your child roles that you then can share workspaces with and access all the leads that are in there and assets and things like that. But again, parent accounts are like just a complete separate system as far as what you're setting up. Good point, Lisa. I just saw that, and I see quite a few there, so I'll stop here in just a minute and kind of go up there. But that's another limitation with child accounts. Child accounts cannot create products or profiles or billing subscription or any of that stuff. It's only a parent account. So if you have a customer that's going to want to set up, their own products as far as subscriptions and user roles and things like that, certainly needs to be a parent account. As we evolve our billing system and our subscription module and things like that, certainly there will be a use case for a client role or a single role to be able to set up their own, processing and have their own, account back there and products. But it's that top level parent account. So let's kind of start the process of how you're able to see child roles and parent accounts. If this is first time logging into the platform, and you come over here to users and you click on add user, your only option is parent account. You don't have an account for role because you haven't set up a role yet. So let's start there on a role. I'm going to configure a role as if I'm going to create just a very simple lead hook. What do you call it? Gosh, it's embarrassing. I'm in marketing and I don't even know the freaking terminology. Your hook to get them in, right? You may want to offer them some digital products, some video training, some, I don't know, email templates or whatever it may be. You may want to bring them in lead magnet. Dang it. Thanks, Charles. So, your lead magnet may be something free of getting them into the system, having them as a user, and them getting access to certain things. And so I'm going to set up a role for a membership type of flow where you're going to want to upgrade them, obviously, to the next level as they go through and either, I'll give you a great example. We were just talking about this yesterday as far as a configuration for insurance agents, right? You have to get licensed to sell an insurance product. However, if you create a flow that makes them feel like they're joining an organization, joining a business opportunity, and giving them all of the assets and training resources to pass the test, but not unlocking all the other stuff like CRM and their dedicated websites and things like that. This is how you would do it. You would create a role first. And so instead of here in users, you're going to click user roles. So I'm just going to call this a membership role. This is the actual name of the role, right? So, whatever your product name is or whatever class, there's some examples here of like account executives, sales executives, internal teams, things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and click create. And so this is create your role. You can go into your role here. And so you have several different options here. If you're not using our payment system, you could set up a product in Stripe. You could set up a product in PayPal or whatever you may do and create a payment link and put that payment link here. So when they go through the onboarding process here, so this little onboarding link looks like this, which we'll start configuring with custom fields and things like that. When they go through this process and set up their account, they'll be redirected to the payment link here. The only limitations to that is it actually creates an account for them. And so if they don't pay, because you're on another billing system, you're obviously going to want to come and disable their account or figure out why they didn't pay and things like that. So it is simple. It just redirects to your payment link. Your default lander. So you have all of our default views that you can use. And then as we go through custom pages, you can actually make a default custom page for when they log in, this is going to direct them. And this is only for this role, right? So if this user logs in, these are the settings that they have. Now, I've never really liked this. I do like it, but I don't like it. I will talk about the most exciting training I'm doing on Thursday with the loop data modules and being able to create your own apps. There's actually another piece to that, which will come with the custom profile fields that allow this to go somewhere else other than the top and bottom. So basically, top and bottom means, if you'll see here, I have custom pages here that show up related to this role. And so this role here, if I set this to bottom, when they log in, my custom pages show up here that are related to this role. If I do above, it's going to show up above the dashboard. And so this basically, you only have two spots to put your custom pages, either above the dashboard or all the way at the bottom. This will make sense as we start building out the pages. And so we have all these different permissions here, right? So this is where you start determining whether you want them to have access to any of the stuff that we have by default, right? And so the main permission, so just to kind of go over some of these, right? Client permission. So you'll see this is changing, by the way, but for now, I won't just go off on a little tangent about how this is changing with our new client portal and accounts and contacts side of it, and converting accounts and clients to that. Anyways, this permission client is important for the project management system or task that you're setting up inside the project management system to associate that user as the client assigned to your project. Without this role checked, those users don't show. So think of it as a client role. I have a course back there as far as, if you haven't seen the courses, come over here to support, click on the courses here and go through this user setup course. There's a video talking about user roles and all the permissions. That will give you a better understanding of what I mean by this. But client is associated with, if you want to do projects and assign them to a client and track the client as far as, that aspect of it, you need to check that permission. However, for this membership side of it, I don't really necessarily care about that. If you are building a membership system and you want them to be part of projects and assigned to them, you would need to click client. So in this case, I'm going to make a very limited backend. I only want them to see, let's say, let's just not even do the system courses. I'm going to do knowledge base. I'm going to do courses. Maybe I set up a little ticketing system for them to reply for support. And that's it, because I don't want them accessing the CRM. I don't want them accessing anything else. I just want them to see what I want them to see on my custom pages, because I'm using this lead magnet to get them in and then ultimately upgrade them to something that's paid. So there's these other settings here. So these are more if you want to customize this page. So like I said, there's an onboarding link. One thing that is coming out that hopefully is part of the June 30th release. I know Lisa's going to kill me because the single products are not back there yet, nor is the 404 page, which was supposed to go live this weekend. I don't even want to go over the issues I had this weekend with that. But there's a new piece here as far as inviting users here. That's another thing I wanted to kind of touch on that new users may experience. When you add a user here, this does nothing other than set them up manually. The reason for that is because if you look at our use case, oftentimes we're setting up a client for a white label partner that doesn't have a backend configured yet. And so you're basically manually setting them up and then configuring their backend, and then they're, give them access to the backend. There will be an invite user button coming. However, if you want them to set up their own accounts, there's an onboarding link for the role. So when you create this role, you can grab this onboarding link, and this is what it is, right? And so you can configure the design of it. So this is before the form. So if you were to put that there, that's going to show up right here. So if you want to have like a little message related to this specific role or this information for this product, or if you want to, after the form here, you can do that. And that's going to show up on the bottom there. And then in addition, you can override the CSS, change the whole design. We put a lot of class properties in here. So if you know CSS, you can really manipulate this onboarding page. And then scripts, obviously you can add in your own stuff. Maybe you want a chat script to when they're onboarding, you can provide support on chat or something like that, right? So again, so this is really just customizing your onboarding page. And so really all this is for. And what else is good here? So, again, go through that video. It'll walk through all these different permissions and the ideal setup. These combinations of system settings are really just, again, what you're going to want your users who are child users. So for instance, your sales team, you're not going to want them to have, you may not want them to have access to blogs or, access to the API or access to, the marketing section for email marketing and things like that, because they can obviously do that with bulk actions in the CRM. So you're just checking on your limited options for them. And then of course, like support, support roles, you may only need to access manage users, right? Because they just need to get into the users to provide support. I probably should cover that if you haven't watched that video. This is like a scary permission. And I say that because the second you give somebody manage users, that means they can access any account within your organization. So, depending on what country you're in with GDPR compliance, it's up to you to make sure you're training your employees to understand that they can't touch their data, they can't do anything with the client data, things like that. So that's something to understand, be conscious of. But again, that's a super high-end permission for somebody because they can access everything. So I would only give those to your admins, that you trust for sure. However, Teams actually needs manage users on it. If you have teams selected, they can only manage the users from the teams they set up. So that's one thing to note. If you're going to allow your child user in that role to set up teams, make sure you have teams and manage users checked. As long as teams check, they won't see any other users. They'll have access to only the teams that they set up, which we'll go over last, kind of go over the teams, kind of close the gap on that. So in this case, there's no other rules that you need or permissions that we need to talk about for this demo or this example. So, okay, I have my membership role set up. And next, I'm going to start configuring, my backend. So on the client portal side, let's say you want to create a custom page or iframe a page into our platform, for this user or for this user role. You're going to come over here to controls, you're going to click on system, and you're going to click on pages. So on a pages stand, actually, why don't we do this? Why don't I create a user in that new role and show you what it looks like real quick? So what I like to do is open up two different browsers. If you notice, you obviously can't be logged into two different users in the same browser. So I like to open up, Chrome or Firefox, one with my system account and one with my child account. That way I can start turning things on or adding pages and things like that and kind of see it real time. For this example, child. Oh, and I'm going to select that role that I just created, and then I'm going to hit create. And so now I'm going to go into my user real quick, just take a look at it, and you'll see, I see the dashboard. Why do I see the dashboard? The reason why I can see the dashboard, now let me get this little poor guy out of the way. The reason why I can see the dashboard is because in my user roles, inside my membership, I didn't set my default. My default is marketing dashboard. So I can still access the marketing dashboard, even though I don't have that permission. So you need to change that up. So in this case, I'm going to make the, let's just do knowledge base as my main page for my user. So let me go back to my users. And a real quick tip, you'll see that there's no full name here. This is part of the cleanup. When I say cleanup, just the obvious that's not so obvious throughout the system. If you're setting up VoIP lines and you're creating manual users like this, and you have not put the first name and last name as the profile information, so in this case, there's nothing here because I made this user manually. They didn't come in through the onboarding link. And because I made them manually, I have to add in their first name and last name. So there's one step you got to do manually to ensure VoIP works. And the reason behind that, as crazy as this sounds, the VoIP credentials leverage the first name and last name for the username and password for their VoIP credentials that we create. So if they don't exist, you'll get that stupid, ugly error that could simply just say, hey, go put the first name and last name in and you'll be good. Why we haven't done that blows my mind. But if you're on this call and you've experienced that, it's because you do not have the first name and last name in here. So I'm going to say just membership user. All right. Another thing, because everything's session based, even though you've updated it here or you've maybe added your profile, it doesn't update here yet until you log out and log back in as a user. Then it's going to bring that session in for you. So now it's there, right? And you can see here, I'm landed straight onto the knowledge base center. Obviously, there's nothing here because I haven't added anything to the knowledge base. I did not check off system courses. So this is only seeing courses that I create. And then, of course, the ticketing system here is there and available for them to create tickets. And you'll notice that they can't assign them to anybody. This is where you get a notification that a new support ticket was created. Then you can go into that ticket as a system account, or anybody who has access to manage tickets can go into that ticket and reassign it and collaborate with the ticket with your membership user. So right now I only have support here set up. So what I want to do is just create a little welcome page for this membership role, right? And so now that I have that set up, I've tested my role. It's what I want. I don't have anything in there. So now I'm going to go in and create my custom pages. So if I come over here to system, click on pages, you can see I already have some pages in here, but if I were to go into this welcome page, you'll see that I don't have that role assigned to it, but I'm going to create a brand new one. And I'm going to call it welcome member. Ooh, can't even spell. You know what's funny is that every time I do these videos, I'm like, I can't type. And may turn out that I just don't know how to type. I can't write anymore. That's for damn sure. Okay, so here's welcome members. So you have two options. You can create a page or you can create a nav, right? So navs are going to be this. So if you're over here and you look at our little, this is also important for the Thursday call because you're going to be able to mimic our entire views when you create your own apps back here. Which is very similar to creating pages. It's just, it's way cooler. But this would be a nav, right? So when you click the nav, then you have your pages under. There's a way to link to your nav, which I'll show you here shortly. But this is where you would have a grouping of pages if you want to create a nav, side nav here. So I'm going to just go ahead and create one page for this. Welcome member. I'm going to choose page. And I'm going to hit add. Okay, before I do that, let me point something out over here. So you have these settings, that's nav tab name, nav tab icon. This will also be helpful to understand if you're attending the Thursday meeting, because it's very similar, except you're going to be able to configure where it goes and all that other stuff. But what this is, all your custom pages go under this top level thing. So the way we call it in our system, we call it, these are apps. These are modules. So in this case, we have a sales module, a sales app that has a leads module, opportunities module, a sales feed module, and a filter view module. This is basically, tab name is your app name. So you just call it whatever you want. Start here. This could be, welcome, or let's say home or whatever, right? And so what happens there, that's going to change your tab name right here. And then you just pick whatever icon you want. That's going to show up here, just so it looks fluid within the platform. And in this case, I'm going to just call this getting started, I guess. So the only thing I don't like about this is the fact that you may want multiple apps, right, with modules below it. And that's where the training on Thursday is going to have, where you can have a blend between your pages and in your modules and your apps. So limitation is basically you're going to have this tab here, and this tab, again, like I said, on the profile or on the role, if you want it here or if you want it at the top above all the other modules, right? So in this case, it's like your top level. And of course, you can create all your tabs and have multiple tabs throughout. So it's not bad. Don't get me wrong. It's just could be a lot cooler if you could have multiple of these, which that's where the app part's going to come in. At any rate, so you got that set, and then now I've set up my new page, right? So by the way, if you're the system admin, you're going to see all these pages. So if you're like creating a portal with like 12 different roles with all these different, access to different trainings and everything else, and I've seen, some users have upwards of 1,000 pages in their backend. So I do need to figure out a better way as far as a system admin, not seeing everything. Others love that because they want to be able to access everything real time and see what it looks like as an admin standpoint. But everything will start being built out. It's always by default at the bottom here, by the way, for the admin. There's no way to control it where you want it on your system admin account. It's always down here and just builds all out. So you may love that, you may hate that. I'll figure out a solution for that. So when you come in here, welcome member, you'll see that you have the type, your page icon, your group is just your nav. This is if the nav is active. So you can turn it off if you don't want it, don't want people to be able to click on it. So basically what that means is you may just want to link to it internally and you don't want it to be in the navigation. So if you turn it off, it will not be in the nav at all. So you can still link to the page, throughout the site, however you like. You have the ability to send it out to an external link. So if you put a link here, this would be the full URL that you're linking out to. This could just be a little tab that they click on and open up a new tab on their platform. And now they have access to whatever resource that, you're providing. Think about it, especially on a lead magnet, let's say you're going to do like AI resources, right? You may have a ton of different AI resources that you're bundling together to give to somebody. And you could either just have them direct tabs or, links on the pages or whatever. That's where an outbound link would be helpful. And then iframe link, this is where you're going to put the exact URL. So believe it or not, Lisa, you weren't the only one that I've seen do this before. You're not throwing in your embed script here that you would get from like YouTube or Vimeo or, some of these other, your Calendly or whatever. They give you that full embed code that you're going to put on your website. That's not what you need. You actually need if you look at your embed code, there's a SRC equals. That's the source of the embed iframe. You're going to grab that URL inside your embed, and that's where you're going to drop. It has to be a URL. It can't be, your embed script. There are some limitations for that. Like for instance, if I put Google in there right now, it won't show up in the back end because Google has protection to prevent their site from loading based on iframes. But virtually any embed type of service that you're using, IDXs, car inventories, meeting pages, Calendly, stuff like that, they're all going to be working this flawlessly. Most applications you can embed, like for instance, we don't care if you want to embed ours into, another platform. So that's not a big deal for us. It's actually, again, making it seamless for your users to access other platforms within our platform. So most will work. You may come across ones that don't work. You'll get a screen that says could not load. All that is basically that source that you put in here says we are not going to allow iframes of our platform. One, which is the most annoying, is the training course company. I can't even remember it. We have several that use that and they want it embedded, and unfortunately they can't. And then we have an API for us to do anything with it. At any rate, internal link tag. This is where you're going to put the link to where you want to go inside of the page. So, for instance, if you're just put this right here. That's not ideal, obviously, because you're just linking to the same page. This would be in another page. So for instance, if you want to link, you may have, again, you turned off the nav active, so it's not in the nav, and you want to have like a table of contents or just several links to different resources within the site that are not in the navigation, you would just grab this link. Now, this creates the link for you. You don't have to put it in the href. Actually, it's been some time since I looked at it. We're going to test that out. I may be inaccurate on that. It either generates the link or you got to add it as the link. It's embarrassing. I don't know that, but we'll figure that out in just a second. And then your role access, right? So this is what you want them to see in access to this. So in this case, I'm going to turn on the membership role. And so this is very simple. So this takes the design that we currently have. So for instance, let me just go and just say test here, and I'm going to go back out to users and go into the user and log in as the user real quick. And you'll see my new page here, and you'll see test. So this is what it looks like. So, you know, it's built to look fluid with all the other views in the system. However, you may not like that. You may want something completely designed, totally different. This is where you have multiple options, or let's just say two options. Option number one, if you know CSS, you can make it look like however you want. You can drop in your source code here and virtually do anything you want to do in this section. Now, I do need to add the JavaScript option for the single page because there's a lot of use cases where you may just want to have something show up based on JavaScript for that one page. But as far as the design, if you know CSS, you can manipulate the heck out of everything with this here. This loads last, so this is going to override everything on the platform. However, you may want to have a completely, totally different looking page, and that's where it comes into the funnel system. So the funnel system, all of our websites and our blogs are 100% available to iframe in. In addition to that, we'll talk about personalization on that standpoint. For instance, when I come to my welcome screen here, oh, not the welcome screen. Shoot, I am in the wrong user. Let me get out of this user real quick. So that's point proven here. I'm open multiple tabs here. I'm in this user. I'm over here trying to mess with the admin console. That's why I never do that, by the way, because it's so easy to get confused of which user you're actually logged into. And then you start making edits over here. And you're like, oh, snap, nothing saved. That's because in another tab, I'm actually a membership user who does not have access to save anything over here. That's why I like using two different tabs. So I'm going to log out of here, just making sure I'm the admin. And so if I come over to this tab here, welcome. This is one I set up in a previous demo. Gosh, not welcome, resources. See how it personalizes? This is the next part of this that I'm gonna talk about. I can personalize, so I can build a website, import a website, whatever. I can build using our builder, put a domain on it. So this is where it comes to, well, I don't want it out there on the internet. So your site will not get indexed if you don't share the link with anybody. And because of the way the iframe sets up, you can be even more protective if you like, right? Because you can add a domain to the system and you know the linking hierarchy of your pages for your site. So you can iframe in the link to the internal page of your website. That way you don't have to worry about the indexing of your main domain. You could have your main domain redirect to your login page. You could have your main domain have your lead magnet, right, for them to sign up for the program. And the internal pages, you know, for your funnel could be all the pages that you're setting up here. So instead of building out in this section, you could go build out a funnel, a website with one of the themes, or import your own theme if you're, you know, that skillful to be able to bring in. And you can actually customize all of the profile tags, which we're about to cover, to make your entire site personalized, bring in different assets. I have some that are bringing in, you know, custom fields from other systems that automatically single sign on and things like that. So your innovation, or I guess the ideas that come from this and what you can actually do it's just ridiculous. So you may have a private blog, right? So you may have a private blog that you don't want out there on the internet, right? You can set up that blog on an internal folder, right? So when you set up your domain, that's not going to get indexed unless you share that link with somebody, right? So if you come in here and embed it and put it into, let's say, the news feed, now you have a full-blown working blog that uses all the profile tags. And again, you could design the blog however you want. This was just using the dark side theme, but you know, you can have your blog very limited that's in here and have it straight up set up to use as a blog. So now you have a back-end blogging platform for content that you're publishing to your users. And what's great about that, your membership, all the tags from the profile work, which I'm going to show you how to use that within here. And that'll be the second half of this. So, all right, so we have our page set up. So there's two options. You can either build the pages in here, which are going to use the design of the system, or you can build your own site inside of the back end, and that'll allow you to iframe it in and give you that visibility. So yeah, Andrea, I just saw that. So you're going to love it on Thursday, because part of that loop data module is actually looping through roles. So you can actually add roles to show up just like the loop data process, which will allow you to leverage the profile section, custom fields. I don't want to confuse everybody with that. Just wait till Thursday on that side of it, but it's super cool, which will cover all of that stuff. So real quick, let me just jump in here. And, you know, I have a meeting at 3 o'clock, and unfortunately, I'm not showing up to that one because it feels like this 45 minutes went real fast here. So I'm just going to look at the last few questions real quick and move on. So where do you find the iframe link for the phone? Oh, so good question. So when you come in here to your website, so a lot of people don't see this because it's not automatically available. So if you come into your website here in the funnel section, you're going to click on settings. You're going to click on branding, and then whatever domain you have in here, you can grab and use that in the iframe section here. So for instance, if you wanted the homepage to be just your lead magnet, your data form there for them to, or just the onboarding, you know, flow for them to sign up, then you would create a page. So inside the builder, when you create a page, so when you're over here and you create one of these pages, you can also access the settings over here. So you click on the page tab, you have a little settings icon. So if you were to go into your page, now, if you know the format, our format's really simple. Whatever the page name is, it's all lowercase. Any spaces are replaced with dashes. And it's starts with /, ends with /. However, you can just click on this right here and you'll see the page URL. Now you grab that, and of course you're going to want to put a / when you append it to your URL, you're going to want to put the /. So that's how you're going to get directly to your page. And so you just grab that. If I want to grab this inside page, which I don't have a domain on this one, let me just grab here. Let me just set up a page real quick that iframes. This one's the test. I'm going to come back to this. This is going to be and I'm going to throw a icon on this real quick. And then I'm going to create another page. And we're just going to call this member resources. And select page, click add. I'm going to go into member resources, and I am going to turn that on for membership. And we'll just whatever. Okay. So now I'm going to grab a website that I've already set up. I think I set a domain on this one. Cool. So I have this URL, and then I have these pages. So let's just say I want to take them to step 3. Obviously, if you're on the previous demo. So my step 3 here, right? Step -3. My URL would be /step 3 / oops, step. Okay. So now I'm linked, my iframe link. So if I'm going to go into this user now, and I click here, and I go to member resources, you know, that was a simple step from the previous training. And obviously it's just ridiculous. But, you know, if you have all your data forms in here too, you know, you can put your data forms work, obviously, because you're in bringing in your site. You may have certain data collection that you want to collect from them, you know, different things like that. So they all work within here, right? So as you go through this whole flow, so you can do that. And then of course, that's the welcome member. So that's not I'm going to actually iframe a different page in just a second. We're going to set one up with personalization. So let's jump into how do you personalize this to make this a lot cooler. So by default, you have a ton of different tags, and the profile tags. Oh man, I can't believe I'm saying this again. I have to provide everyone, and I thought I did this already, and now I realize I have not, and it's probably getting super annoying me saying this every time, but we have a ton of tags. We have profile tags, and we also have custom profile tags. So the formats for your profile tags, and I need to send out the exhaustive list of all the different ways you can use the tags in the system and how they work. But inside the pages, you have profile information, profile tags, default profile tags. So you can say, welcome, and all it is curly brackets, 2 of them, P, dot, and then it's first name, and then you can do P dot last name. So in your profile, you have, get out of here, guy. Go. In your profile, you have first name, last name, username, you have time zone, phone, company name, address to, city. So you have state. The only ones that don't correlate to the name. So for instance, company name, that's P dot company space name. So it's case sensitive. So in this case, first name, right? So first name, my tag is P dot first name, case sensitive with the space. So it has to match exactly. It's important when you create your custom, which we're going to do in just a second, of how you link to that. Profile info, company name, address to, city. The only difference is state, zip, country. It's not postal code, dot, so it's just state, zip, country. Website, and then bio is great. There's a lot of different ways you can use that. Of course, you can set up your own custom ones. So just for this simple little example, I'm just saying welcome, first name, last name. And then now if I were to go into that user and click on this child user, and actually I'm going to set that as my page, membership user, right? So it's putting my information from my profile in there on the tag. For that. So that's a simple example. And just real quick, I'm going to set the default page. Oops. User roles, membership user, and I'm going to set my default lander. So now that you've created custom pages, now you can set that default lander to be welcome member. So now when I log in as that user, you click on, boom, welcome membership user, right? So that's my default page that I log into. And again, top to bottom, I can move that to the top. Might as well just do that real quick because that is slightly annoying me. Membership, put that at the top. If we're going to that user, should be at the top. No, yeah, up here. Okay, so we got that. But what I want to do is I want to set up, how do I personalize a funnel and use that funnel as an iframe inside here. So hopefully we all kind of got that concept, right? So when you're building out your pages, there's a plethora of tags that are default in the system. Oops, I haven't done anything with that one yet. That you can use, which are P dot for the global profile fields. Now, what if you want to set up some custom stuff? So to set up a custom field, you're going to come over here to templates. You're going to click on data, and then you're going to click on data fields. So inside data fields, you have the option of creating fields for a lot of different elements into our platform, from leads to accounts, to lead disposition, which are the lead status, opportunity status, project statuses, account statuses, tickets types, and funnels as well. And so if you haven't watched, what are the things you can do with these custom fields for those, definitely watch those videos. Obviously need to do more training on some of those, but everything that's related to the profile is user info. So in this case, let's just do, what would be a good one? I don't know. MLS, MLS number. Let's just do that. I'm going to choose text input. So these are just like the data forms. So whatever input you want to use, from file uploads to, just simple text inputs. I'm going to go ahead and create that. And then here you're going to go into your field and you have several different options. This is related to the onboarding link. So as you go through that onboarding flow here, You have the ability to make it required or not required as far as how they fill it out. For it to show up on the onboarding form and show up in the profile. So when I go to my profile, for it to show up over here, you have to create a group. And you don't have to do an icon, but you need to create a group. So in this case, I'm just going to do membership details. I'm going to create my group, choose my little icon here. Profile only. What this means is I only want it to show up in the profile. I don't want it to show up on the onboarding link. I only want it to show up here on the profile, when I go into the profile. And then, of course, you need to put in your role. So sort position, this is all related to what position you want it to show up in the order of the profile. So in this case, I now have my membership details and I have my MLS number. So here, and then in addition to that, on my onboarding link, I now have my third grouping. So your group is going to group them into your onboarding link. In addition to that, it's going to group it in the profile tab, whatever profile, tab you set up. And then if you turn off profile only, it won't show up on the onboarding link. It won't be part of the steps in the process. And of course, if it's required, they can't go to the next step without that being filled out. So in this case here, I have my MLS number set up. It's a custom field. When they come into your profile, they have access here. And that basically is going to be the way you're able to collect that data to use it on there. So real quick, I'm sorry, I see quite a few, and I apologize. I will get to everybody's questions here. Let me just see this. Is it possible to send someone directly to their profile page, for example, to the new membership details tab you just created? That's what's awesome about what's coming on Thursday. There is going to be a new option for this to append it to an app. So you're going to create an app. So back when we talked about membership directories or local directories and things like that, you're going to be able to create an app called Business Directory, and you have two options. You can create a new module, which will allow you to create all the fields and columns and data collection that you want that you're going to loop through that module. In addition to that, you can append your grouping of user info fields to that app. Then in your role, you would select that app as the default lander to when that person logs in. So yes, it's coming right now. It's just set to your profile, and that's not an option to have them log in and go straight to the profile. So that'll be cool to solve that. So real quick, to set up custom fields or user profiles fields. So user profile fields and custom profile fields can be used on emails, email templates, SMS, cadences, whatever, workflow, all those tags can be used. It can also be used on your websites and can also be used in the back office pages. So whatever data you're collecting from the profile, whether it be global or custom, can be used in all of those. So in this case, you're just going to come over again, just real quick, clicking on settings, templates, clicking on data, clicking on data fields. Data fields, again, are related to the different modules of custom stuff that you want to set up. It's going to be user info. So you're going to select user info, name it, select your input type, hit create, go into it. Inside, for instance, MLS user or number that I just created. For it to show up in the profile and for it to show up on your onboarding profile, you have to assign a group name to it. So create a new group name by just typing in the group name and selecting it. And then if you want an icon, put an icon in it. If you don't want it to show up in your profile, on the onboarding link and just the profile, turn this on and then make sure your role is selected, because if you don't have that, then your role won't show. You as the admin, you will see all of those fields in your profile, by the way. Just be mindful of that as well. Okay, so now I have a custom field set up. So what is the tag? So the tag, you're just going to grab the label, the name of it that you name, case sensitive. You're going to go back to your page here. And here is your MLS number. And it's curly brackets, 2 of them, and it's CP instead of P for custom profile. So CP dot, just paste in your name of the field, and there you go. So now if I go into this user and click on my profile, right? So CP profile number, ooh, that's interesting. That's super interesting. Why is that not rendering there? I'll have to look at that after this call. I'm not sure what I did before this call to why that's not showing up. But that's the way to do it. Why that's not showing up, I'm not exactly sure. And then you have your membership details, and you're going to do test here. Well, let's just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And go back to my welcome member. Okay, so found a quick little bug there. So what's happening is I didn't enter anything in my profile, and so it's showing the tag. That's not how it's supposed to work. I need to tweak that. Likely something I did before this call. Because I didn't have anything in there, the tag's showing, but the tag should not show, by the way. So don't freak out if the tag's showing there. If you test this out while we're on this call, I will be fixing that a few minutes after this call. But anyways, anything you put in there will show up for your custom profile tags. In addition to that, what if I want my site to have this information? So we talk about MLS integrations, IDX systems, things like that, right? You can iframe those in, but depending on your hierarchy of agents, and you may be all using the same IDX solution where there's just a username or an ID that's different between yours and theirs, right? And so you want your websites to show their IDX solution. It may be just an IDX link too, by the way, because by the way, the iframe piece works with these tags too. So there's different ways that you can do that to where the rep or the agent has their own IDX link or IDX value or username or ID that appends the URL. So that way you have the ability to iframe that into the backend. But like I said, if you're using an IDX system and you're just trying to iframe one in for all of your members to have access to, you can do that. And then depending on your IDX solution, there's probably a different ID associated with each MLX of your users. Then you would just have a field in their profile that they need to update that will append to that URL or replace that URL inside the iframe or the site, which I'm going to show you in just a second how to use these tags in the site. So I'm going to go ahead and log out. And now I want to set up some personalization on a website that, did we do something simple here? Okay, yeah, we'll just use this one. Let me go into settings, grab this URL. Okay. So this URL, I am going to put as my iframe to my member resources page instead of that step 3. So if I iframe this, all I'm seeing is, where the heck? All I'm seeing is this, right? This site, because this is the one I iframed in. But I want this to say, if true, show me. I'm going to replace that. Matter of fact, I have a bunch of tags in this one. Let me see if I have a better funnel to use instead of this one. Sorry, let me grab one that we did. I think sample sites one. That's okay. Okay. Yeah, this one's probably better to use. Let me go to settings. Of course, there won't be a freaking domain on it. Okay, it doesn't matter. I'm going to use that one. I already have it in there. So when I come in here, right, I want to, and I'm just going to delete these, get this out of here. And in this case, I want to remove. This is all the if-then logic, by the way. You know what? I'm just going to delete that. Delete all this stuff. And I'm going to throw in sample header. And I'm going to put hello p dot first name dot last name. So if I save this, I go back out to the site. Hello, John, right? Because it's already created a session, and I'm just kind of taking my thunder here. If this is the first time you're doing this, it's just gonna say hello. It's not gonna say anything. It's not gonna have my tag or anything in there. The way to get this site to be personalized, to pull in all your custom tags, is you're gonna want to come in here to your page, system, pages. Let me go to one already set up. There is this little tag here, and I'm not sure if you can see it okay. Let me try to enhance this real quick. See if I can make it where it's viewable better. That probably looks worse. Okay, so all it is Perl, the question mark. If you've watched my other videos about parameters that happen on your URL, right? So after your URL, you're going to want to put question mark, Perl, P-U-R-L, UID equals, and then our user ID tag, which is 2 curly brackets, user with a capital U, space, ID, capital ID, in curly bracket. This little append that you do to your URL will allow you to use the tags on a funnel that's loaded in your iframe. So when you come over here to your page and you click on your member resources, that's my URL right there. I'm just going to hit /. You don't have to do /, but if it's a page, you want it to do /. So just get used to doing /. Perl UID equals 2 curly brackets, user ID, capital U, space, ID, in curly brackets. What that's going to do is that's going to pull in their user ID from the system and set that session on that iframe link. So when they log in, right? So right now, here's the session. It's me because I've already clicked on that welcome link. So it's already created a session and personalized this content for me. But now if I go into this user and I click into membership child and I click on membership resources, now you're seeing hello membership because that's the name that I have in my profile. So now you can, again, if you don't want to use the back end view and you're not wanting to manipulate the CSS to get your own design, you can come in here and set up your own custom website that you're not going to get indexed and no one knows the URL to, iframe them in and use that Perl user ID that's associated with the user ID associated with the person in the system. And since you're iframing that, it's going to personalize all that content by the tags that you have in there, right? So obviously I don't have any page content in it because I want to use this site here. And so that's going to use that. Now let's test out this internal link tag because I am curious real quick if it renders. So this is where, for instance, if you don't have the page in the navigation, or you made a one, if you create a nav and you group pages underneath that nav, you can't, like, I can't click on system. It doesn't take me to system. Same thing here. If you click on your grouping, it doesn't take you there. However, you may want to link to it. So you can link to it by grabbing this little internal link right here. And I'm going to test real quick on, this is welcome member. Okay, so I was wrong. It does not create the link. It doesn't create the hyperlink. So what you're going to need to do is you need to do this and say, that makes sense because some people want to, I know why I did it that way. It's so some people may want to have a different name than the page that you're using. So in this case, it'd be like, get started here. If I rendered it with the name of the page, then you could never do that because it would always say welcome member. So you just grab that, right click, click link, grab that, put that in there, hit save. Now, when you come into your welcome, welcome member, there's your link. And I'll take you right to that page. So that's how you do it. You got to add it as a link URL, opposed to just putting the tag in there. Make sure it's your link URL. So I was wrong on that one. Okay, so again, you know, this is all set by roles, your child roles. So they only see the tabs that you want to have. It may sound a little confusing for the tags, is because you're not looking at documentation for the tag, but it's real simple. If you just want to pause this video and take a look at it, and you want to append it to any iframe that you're doing, but it has to be a site within our system. So the site within our system, that's the only way it's going to work, because it's associating that user ID and then flipping out all the tags that are part of the site to personalize it within here. So hopefully that wasn't too confusing, but it's actually pretty simple. So I am going to go back up and start answering questions. And maybe that'll drive us to another section within here. So if you want to start throwing in all your questions. I knew I was going to do this and have a ton of these over here. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, if you don't see an option for child accounts, only parent accounts because you haven't set up a role, I covered that. Hopefully that made sense. I don't see pages nav position. So on pages nav position, position, the position as far as where it shows up is always going to be related to the grouping that you have, and then of course the order of that page. But inside the role, if you go inside the user role, this is where you're going to have the ability to put all of these pages either at the top up here or at the bottom here. So it's all of your custom pages, either top or bottom. Hopefully you see that. Let's see here. How can I set up an access to my buyer through an IDX? I'm in real estate and want to use the system for my buyers and sellers and assign SMS email campaigns, maybe based on triggers. Yeah, so you can set up all your users, right, and give them access to SMS and email in the back end. Now, access to my buyer through an IDX. Now, if you want to iframe your IDX solution in here, that's exactly how you would do it. I need a little more information as far as access to my buyer through an IDX, meaning I would assume you have certain listings that are not public that you have with IDX listings in there that are not out there for everyone, and you have access to them and you want to share them to your real estate agents, but not publish it online. It's exactly how you do it. I mean, if you throw me the link in here, I'll check it for iframing and show you how that would work. But you would set up, again, a page within here. So system, click on pages. I would click on, call it, IDX listings. Oops. I think I am convinced I can't type. Okay, and then hit add. Then you're going to go into it and you're going to grab that IDX link that you currently likely send through email or give them access to, or they just click on it. You would put it right here in this iframe link section, set up a role, and I'll give that access to that role. So it would be your real estate agents who have access to the IDX solution, whatever you want to call it, and give them access to that role. And then, this would show up over here based on that role. So see, you have IDX listings. Hold on, let me see if I can just search, IDX listings. Let's just see if there's one that's out there. I was hoping I would see one that was indexed. Going down a rabbit hole here. But if you have an IDX link, which they all have, some people get their IDX links indexed. That's why I was searching here. But anyways, you would just grab that link that you already have and drop it right there, and then it would show up in this IDX listings tab. Now your users will have, your real estate agents would have access to that. So if you have more questions about that, I'll hit you on the bottom here. I got to go through most of these. With the payment link, if I use PayPal, would they pay and then automatically be a webhook to log in page, or how would that work? So on your PayPal payment link, there should be a thank you pay or success page that will take them, that you can send them back to the login. Now, of course, the system is going to send them a link to the login. Thank you for registering. Your only issue with the payment link is that they create an account. They actually have access to that account. And then they go to the payment account to sign up or pay, right? If they don't pay, you just need to know that you have a user that didn't pay. So you're going to have to either disable them or reach out to them to pay. So can they become part of a client through forms on lead pages or from Facebook ads? So not quite sure on that as far as what you're asking, but the clients who come through the form. So our system, are all leads and accounts, and your real estate agents would have their own accounts. And of course, leads that come in, if you want to treat them as clients through lead pages or Facebook ads, you can hook in Facebook pages and get that connected and pull in your leads from there. You can set up our data forms and collect leads that way. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do that for that. You should add there source only. Yes, I should. That's a good point. He's talking about this right here. So iframe link, source of the link, not the embed. And next is, will you give these to the membership role from the role access? Yeah, so I'm not sure if that's related to the previous one, but yeah, that's exactly right. You inside your role for the payment, you would come in here to user roles, you would click into your actual user role, and it's related to that role. And so then you have a role that you can, obviously do the onboarding link there. If you're using our platform for setting up your billing, or at least the subscription side of it, inside your product, you can also append the role, and then that will force them, they won't have access unless they pay, but that's through Stripe. And so watch the billing module video. I need to do a billing update video for one-time products as well. So definitely be doing that probably after this Thursday meeting. Okay, so I'm feeling like I need to take a CSS course. You don't, but I would certainly love to enhance my skills in all different areas over time. And CSS is one of those things as far as like just cool stuff you can do visually on a UI standpoint, especially since a lot of the stuff in the back end, we allow you to kind of manipulate all of the CSS. I would certainly look at that for sure. It's not terribly difficult to understand, especially if you understand how to do inspect element and look at what's already existing on something. Okay, so the issues that I've run into is there's a login process on the site you wish to iframe. It will not process a login script. Yeah, so depending on the system that they have, if they're using some JavaScript will prevent it. So you may want to look at the single sign-on options that they have, or look at their API and our users API, because you could easily build an actual login process and get a token, and then that token is supplied to the custom profile field, and then you're using that token to do a single sign-on. So I've seen many do it that way, as far as using a single sign-on approach. So you likely will have to go down the path if you're not able to log in through the iframing of another app that way. So definitely doable if they have, again, creating a token. Like for us, when you create that authentication process, you get a token back. That token is reused to log in, but the difference between our token has to be used each and every time, and it generates a new token. So your flow of your API would generate that token, update their custom profile field for their user profile, and that new token is used every time that app is loaded. For us to be iframed in with like a single sign-on type of process. Others have long-lived tokens, so again, just depending on what they have, you can certainly do that. Definitely incognito mode. I'm in incognito mode right now, and I'm sure I have about 100 messages of why I'm not on this 3 o'clock call. They will get over it. Okay, is it possible to bring funnels in that I've made on ClickFunnels over to Ligna? Very possible. Depending on your skill set, it's actually extremely easy for ClickFunnels, just because they're not terribly injected with all the normal WordPress code that they have. So definitely can do that. As long as you have the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you can certainly do that. Onboarding process is made personal. Yes. So I was kind of covering that. Your user profile fields, again, if you go on into templates, you click on data, you click on data fields, you go ahead and hit create data field. You're going to select user info here, name it, choose your input type. And then again, inside here, you have to group it. So group it with a name. The reason behind that is because the grouping on your onboarding link, wherever the heck that is. Sorry, this mic is just completely right here. Your group will set your stages. So if you have 10 groups here, you'll have 10 that they'll scroll through for the onboarding process to pull up. within there. Okay, where do you find the iframe link for funnel? I covered that. If you still have questions about that, I'm working my way down. Looking for the cool baby. I'm not sure what you meant that. Sounds awesome. John, so the Pearl URL. So what Andrea's talking about, and I know I just covered it, but again, it's that Pearl URL. All that's designed for is to set a session on your iframe links, and that'll allow you to use the custom profile tags and the profile tags on your website. And that'll allow, there's a lot of other usage for that, by the way, if you're doing like email campaigns, especially I used on the previous training, you're set up like a reviews gateway to where if they do 3 or below, it takes them to a data form. If they do 4 or above, it takes them to a reviews page. Actually, that was in Anil's weekly training. If you haven't watched that, that one was pretty cool. Same Pearl URL, but the Pearl URL that is being referenced there, all you're doing is putting it into, by the way, forgot about this. You can reorder just by dragging that up and down. You know, if you want your pages to show up in a different order within there. Not sure if you knew that. So here, the iframe link, again, / Pearl, PURL, UID for user ID equals, and then our user ID tag. User ID tag is helpful, especially when you're going to do the affiliate system module, which right now the affiliate links are live and working and tracking, and it's beautiful. The front end module, as far as your, you know, your hierarchy and who's underneath you and everybody and all that stuff, when that goes live, you may want to have a custom page that has your personalized affiliate link URL with the user ID in some sort of page, opposed to buried into the affiliate module. So that's where the user ID becomes helpful with there. Let's see. So tags, yes, I need a, I'm embarrassed to even reference that comment there. If we want to create personalized cadence dashboards, for example, or the tags we can use for functionality. So super interesting. Please explain more on that. But as far as the tags and customizing your own system and doing a lot of things, you know, there's so many ways to innovate the iframe functionality for a page that you're even hosting elsewhere, or leveraging the tags inside of one of these pages or inside of our site to pull data and use that data dynamically through there. So interesting on what personalized cadence dashboard looks like and what ideas around that. Would be cool to create a welcome page with the tools that people use most often, like shortcuts to meeting page. Yeah, so that would be a great thing. One thing, so you certainly can do that right now today. When you click on these main modules, the URL path for them is real simple. It's just everything after the /. So if you grab that, you can take that and use that as your link in the meeting page. I mean, inside the custom page. So you can put all those shortcuts and tools and everything else. We actually just did one for one of the done for you setups. We create our own tiles, just like the knowledge base of CRM, you know, videos and those things, and use the exact same design as the knowledge base center, linking inside to all those different areas. So certainly could do that. That's a great idea. You can do that as well. Again, all these links. Of course, you're not going to want to, you can't click into here and then, oh, you're going to go to this, you know, because it's your association specifically to that version. But if you just want to link to each one of these, just grab the link in the top after that. And that's how you would use it in the page to create a link. So for instance, if I wanted this to go to cadences inside my custom page, I would create a link. I just remember I got that one iframed. Welcome member, that's the one. You know, I can say, check out cadences. And then right-click link, and I'm just throwing in that / admin cadences marketing, hit save. And then now, as that page is loaded, I can click on cadences, and that's going to take me right to cadences, right? So you can link to any module within the system that way, you know, and create your own little tiles and tabs and everything else through here. Okay. Is it possible to send someone directly? Oh yeah, I already covered that. So not yet, but it definitely will be part of the app system. Hopefully I repeated that. as far as adding the custom field, if you still have questions, I'm working my way down. If we want to create a personalized, okay, you've asked that again. Combination of dash and the same dash of the tags. So maybe you're talking about creating your own personalized dashboard, but use stats from the system to kind of make your own little widgets within there. We are working on that, but it's gonna be a little bit different than that as far as like in tags. You're actually going to choose the data set, that you want that are available, and then make your own little dashboard with it. So interesting. Can we have that form thing in the dashboard, like you can enter your MLS number directly from the page instead of going to the profile settings? Yeah, so that was that piece I was talking about, that you're going to assign the group of the profile to an app. And this will make sense on Thursday, because you basically create, like if I want to create a billing app, I would name it billing. And then my modules would be profiles, products, subscriptions, and then all my columns that are associated with the data that I'm collecting. However, you can then assign a user group, user custom fields, user info groups to your app. So in addition, that way you don't have to create a module. That is the module. And I'll give you an example for that. Let's say you wanted to create a local directory. In the app system that's going live on Thursday, you can certainly create an app directory of local businesses. But the way that's going to work is very similar to the leads. So you create local directory as your app name, then you create business profile. Well, what that's going to look like is a data table with all the profile columns that you want to collect from the business. But that's for you to add the data in there, or another user to add data into it. It's not necessarily, hey, I'm a single business owner, I want to go create an account and update my business profile information and use that on our Loop data system to allow you to put those directories on your websites. That's where it comes into the profile side of it. You're going to want to create a business directory app and then use a grouping of questions for their profile to apply it to the app. That way, when they click here on business profile, it's not the view of data collection, it's a view of like the fields that they already have. It'll make sense on Thursday. I promise you that. So IDX is simply just, the listings out, MLS listings and things like that, that are out there for real estate industry. And all the IDX systems are designed to be embeddable. So they all can be iframe back here. So as long as you have that link, certainly will work. Yeah, so P or CP. Yeah. So oh my gosh. If y'all will blast me on Facebook, if I don't have the table of contents of all of our tags by the end of this week, please, because it's so easy for me to forget that. And it's honestly so important. It's probably one of those things that hinders people's ability to really leverage the full customization of a lot of these things. CP is custom profile. There's custom funnel tags. There's your custom data fields, and they're all different. Data fields, there is no CP, P dot, there's none of that. Funnel global fields, they have none of the CP or CF or any of that. So it does get confusing because obviously there's so many different sets. But once they're organized into a grouping of what they do and all of them, that'll be huge. So feel free to blast the heck out of me on Facebook if I don't have that done by Friday, because I'm sick of talking about it. Okay. Let's see here. Can I create a system where my digital marketing team can have like a page where they can add a blog into my website without having to go into the blogs post area? You can just create it in the funnel, the same functionality. Yeah. So that's a great point. You could call it whatever you want. You could get rid of everything and build all your own pages out that you want and just use the links that are available. When you click on blogs, you can grab that here and do that. You could also limit them to a single blog, right? And set up a page in here. Don't give them access to the blog or any of the stuff in here. And you can set up a page just for that one blog and set up to a role. And now everyone in that role can blog onto that to that blog itself, right? So, by the way, that's inaccurate. You have to set up a shared workspace, turn off workspaces for them, but add the roles. So that sounds confusing, but unless you're in a shared workspace, you can't both be blogging on the same blog. So in that case, if you do want them to share the blog, you're going to want to create a workspace for that blog. However, the role, do not give them access to workspaces, and make sure you apply that role to your workspace so they have access to the blog, and then link directly to the blog. That's helpful, by the way, if you're ever setting up a contract salesperson and you have inside salespeople and outside salespeople, and you're all working in harmony in the same workspace with all your leads, but you want this outsider to access and be available to accept or transfer leads to them or add them and collab with them, but you only want them to see their leads. And it's all part of the same workspace. So in that case, what you would do is create a role for that contractor. You would add them to the workspace, but you would turn workspaces off for them. So they can't ever go into that workspace. And so they can't see all the other leads. They would only see leads that they have access to within there. So there's way, again, it's all about shared workspace, whether you can access a blog that you're not an owner to. In that case, you wouldn't give them workspaces. You'd still add the role to the workspace, link it up as a custom page directly to that blog or blogs section. And that way you can build out your own navigation here. You don't have to use any of our stuff here. There's really, you can manipulate every single one of these views as far as naming and how you want it to look. And what's also going to be great about that is the language module, which will allow you to change the name of the default module here. But that's how you can get around it. The only difference is it'll still say blogs right here, and that's where the language module will come in to allow you to change that name and then the breadcrumb and things like that. Okay. Next, the search section of my website that I've been attempting to iframe into Ligna's website is connected to MLS, hoping I can embed the search section to the Ligna builder. Yeah, so certainly there's different ways you can do that. Definitely give me that example after, because there's a couple ways that you can do that. One, if you have the search widget statically on your homepage and you set the post URL to the page that you have it iframed in, the page that you have it iframed in have the get tags as part of the query that happens when you do search. So if you look at your MLS iframe and do a simple search, look up at the URL and you'll see the location, the information you just typed in is part of that URL. Grab that URL, swap out the fields that you would normally search with in that, put in the get parameters for that that are in there. Then in your form that you have on the static part of the funnel, as certain content section or block, put the form submission URL with those values, get parameter. Basically, you don't even have to do that. When it's submitted to that page, it'll automatically put the get parameters in there for you. And show me that example. It's a great example. It's exactly how you do it. That's super easy to do, because even on the iframe itself, the iframe is part of the page. So if you use the get parameter, the get training that I did with get dot whatever name is there, if you just put that static search there and hit search and just make sure it's good, even if it's on your homepage, you'll see up in the URL all of that name equals whatever it is. You would use that as your get parameters in your iframe URL on whatever internal page you're doing. So that's actually super easy to do. I'd love to show you how to do that. It only takes a couple minutes to really show you that. Where do we create groups again? Yeah, great question, because it's not actually a section yet. But now that multiple things are happening with groups, it will be. But to do a group under templates, data fields, it's built right here. So when you come over here to your group name, if you wanted to create a new group, you just type in your group. You'll see it highlighted here. Click that and it'll create the group. If it doesn't, obviously it doesn't exist, then it'll create the group, sign it to the group, and then it'll be available the next time you come in for other fields that you set up. So you're creating it right here inside the field. So there's not a section to create the groups yet. It's part of the actual field. For this meeting issue in the funnel earlier because I changed the password, but yeah, so definitely can help you on that. For email SMS campaigns, do we get the status update when emails opens for SMS or email open or SMS? Yeah, most definitely. So SMS read, no. There is a tag for link clicks inside SMS. However, I don't recommend using it until I update it because of the 10 DLC changes. You don't want that long URL in there. Not good. So for SMS, no, you don't get to know if they read it or not. The email though, absolutely. So if they opened up the email, you see that they click on link clicks, any type of, so there's several different ways that we track email, not only in the email campaigns, but if you're come over here and you click on select all, or do all your filters or whatever, and then you click on email, and then you select an email template or whatever and send out. Not only in the lead view do you see if they open it. I don't think I sent one to this lead itself. Obviously, you see all the stuff they looked at your website. But if you click on this little tab here, this will give you a breakdown from up to 90 days, like all your opens, your opt-outs. Hot activity would be anybody who's actually opened and clicked, and so you can see who that lead is and what they've done. This is a little graph for like best performing hours. I don't think I've emailed out of this account. Yeah, one, but nothing happened with it. All your opens, your unique opens, and then you can actually just click on these tiles, and this will filter your view, your leads view of whatever you want. Like, if you want to, put everybody in a call queue for who opened the link or click the link, you can do that and it'll filter it. And you can also filter by your email templates. That way you can see which email template is best performing. And then in cadences, there's also a little stat tracker here that will show you what's going on with each of your stages for email. And then of course, in email campaigns, it's going to show you the history of your send, how many opens, open rate. And of course, you can click on this as well, and that'll bring you into your leads view of the leads that you've sent or opened. And then, of course, you can just grab them, put them in another, call queue, or send out another message, or add them to another cadence, or whatever you want to do through that. So yes, we do a lot of tracking with the email. And then also on the sales feed, you'll see all your email opens that pull up here. Also your lead visits, anybody who's filled out a lead and came back to your website. All your follow-ups are here. So this is just designed for you, like quickly to email or make a phone call, update a quick little disposition with them, lead status, close out your follow-ups, whatever you got. This removes them from the sales feed. It just makes you a little more efficient when you're following up. Okay, so next, when adding a new user, if we have an LTD agency plan, is there a different fee between a parent account and child account for the user spot? Great question. If the user can log in, they're counted as a user, whether a parent account or child account. That's just the way our system goes right now. I know in the future that we will have like a simplified membership type of user. I still don't feel like that's 100% necessary, especially even with our MRR pricing model. It's going to be very affordable. I have unlimited users across your entire hierarchy, right? So not sure we'll ever be in a scenario where a login is not counted as a user. I know I've said that in the past for membership and courses, but it's just, at this point, the way we have it priced, it makes a whole lot of sense just to keep it the way it is as far as the user standpoint being counted if they log in. So it doesn't matter if you're a parent account or a child account. If they type in their email and password, they're counted as a user right now. Check for MLS PIN IDX. Yeah, so I'll search that real quick, just kind of give you an example. But like I said, if you want to chat me on, okay, yeah, no, is that the same place? Anyway, if you want to send me the links that you have, there it is. If you want to send me the links to that you are embedding on your website, I'll show you exactly how you can do it really quick, put it back there for what you got. So I would be very, very surprised if we can't quickly and easily iframe into the back end for your real estate agents that are in that role to have access to that. When adding multiple websites, are CNAMEs available to be used for the websites as well? Is there a way for us to add limits to websites where you can charge per additional website? So that's 100% coming. Right now, usage, the only usage that you have, you click on system, click on your inventory, you can see your inventory. Again, this is for the entire system, your entire ecosystem. But inside the limits, you have the option of setting your limits for your profiles. You will see websites, you will see blogs, you'll see meeting pages, you'll see other options that we have back here. That has nothing to do with us, by the way. You don't have any limits on that. That's just for you if you want to monetize websites, because you get your own SSL certificate with it. I mean, I've never, ever heard a complaint about load time on this platform, and I take a lot of pride in that. You don't have injected ridiculous code. So, if you know anything about SEO or any of that, you can rank these sites really, really well within our platform. We do it all day, every day. That's of value to other people, especially if you're building out the sites for them, or you're showing them how to build sites. So when you create a domain, these are unlimited domains in there. So when you create a domain, once you set up your domain, you're going to hit add domain, put your domain in. I know this is confusing too, because other places like the website section, you put the full URL, and the branding, you don't put the full URL. And then here in the domain section, you only put the root domain. Just real quick, because I know some are on this call that are just signed up or kind of going through this domain, whether you're bringing the whole domain over or not, and you're just using subdomains, doesn't matter. Do not put a subdomain in here. Put the root of the domain. It will not mess up your domain. It will not transfer anything over. I'll show you the record that will happen. So when you come into your domain after you add it, you have 3 records. This is if you're not bringing the domain over. You're just bringing all the subdomain traffic. This is an A record. It's called a wildcard record. Basically, what that means is that anything that you have not named on your DNS as a subdomain is going to come to us. Why that's huge is because you can use those subdomains freely throughout your entire parent account or system account for preview URLs for your clients. We send preview URLs with a full domain so they get the whole experience. Your client portals, I mean, all your replicated near me sites, whatever you want to do on a subdomain approach, you have the freedom of using them throughout the entire system. And those are wildcard SSL certificates. So everything is all installed with SSL right out of the gate with those. In addition to that, you have the CNAME records for the actual SSL. And then if you want to move the whole domain over, right, if you're just pointing your whole website to the platform, or you're setting up a website and it's obviously hosted with us, you just set up an A record. So this doesn't affect all your other DNS records that you have. You're just pointing the A record to us. And then you also have, so once you have that, you're just going to click on Activate SSL. That'll go out there and activate it. Just wait for it till it says success. In most cases, you have an issue because you have Cloudflare or somewhere else, and you're doing proxy DNS. By the way, if you ever have an issue with a domain, simply search in our Facebook group DNS, and you'll see about 5 million conversations about it. And the last one that I actually responded to is probably the easiest one to understand because there's a lot of comments on it. And then activate email approval. This is where if you want to send through our SMTP server, you have to get your domain approved. So you're going to add these records. One thing, depending on your DNS, you may have this domain already appended when you submit. So if you copy this as your name, then you'll have double domain on there. So just look at your DNS and see if they're appending the actual domain to it. If they are, then just grab everything before the dot. And then, of course, this is the whole value. At any rate, please hit up support if you have issues with that. Okay. Sorry to go on a little tangent there. How do I set up lead system to, so when a message comes in from Facebook, like Facebook Messenger or Business Messenger, it'll create a lead in my CMS and work in the CMS. Okay, so Messenger will not, unless you're doing the lead form, web form, Messenger campaign. If you're doing that, that's going to be pulled over because that's just basically a form lead. So when you come over here to settings, integrations, and then apps, you're going to want to click on Facebook, select leads, choose the data form that you want it to go into. So you have to create a data form on our side to associate that lead that comes in, which obviously you're going to want to do that because you're going to create a data form that triggers automation or workflows or whatever else you want to do. Once you add that, that will take you out to your app page for Facebook to choose your page. Once you choose that page, that'll start pulling all of your leads from the past up. And then moving forward, any leads that come in will automatically trigger it. So that, seamlessly integrated if you want to do it that way. Okay, my pin roll is not working on products. Interesting. If you could do a quick little video and show me that. So what she's talking about here is under billing profiles and products, you can select right here, like client support role, and you'll see RID is appended right here at the end of your URL. So when I first came in here, it wasn't there. So you're saying that's not happening right there with that. So let me know because it's working right there for me. but doesn't mean it doesn't work. I believe you. So if you can give me a short little video and the URL you're on, because you're probably in your own branded URL as well. For CSS, just a suggestion, ask chat. Yeah, it's a great idea. Of course, that will certainly help a lot. To learn as quickly as possible. Can I create a login page in the funnel so it only shows to people who are logged in, like a profile manager, where you then can buy things from us and see the buyer history in the funnel itself and have like an e-commerce website funnel? So yeah, I mean, again, if you created that and didn't publish the URL, you of course could put that in here. The different options that you have, especially when you have the ability to, for the next release on the billing, to choose whether you want it to be an internal product that will show up in your products page for people to buy and upgrade. That'll be cool. But yeah, just more of a use case. If you can send, I can certainly kind of point you in the right direction for that. Are there any white label explainer videos available for us to use for our customers? Yeah, so it's been an absolute crazy year for us in a good way and a bad way. 10DLC killed us, a lot of other things as far as like my vision of what I wanted to do. I started it and I need to get back on it, especially these training courses or trainings I'm doing each week. You know, as long as they are, they could be 5 courses, to be honest with you. I'm in so much trouble past this meeting. Okay, so inside your courses, you have these 5, which will get you pretty much 90% of the way in most cases, if you go through them all. In your user profile permission, if you click on user roles and then click on your permission here, you have an option called system courses. If you turn that on, those system courses are not branded as Ligna at all. So you basically have 5 courses that you can turn on for your user roles that have access to it. And that'll get them most of the way. And then, of course, you can add in your own course videos and training. But I need to get back into the training of the non-white label or the white label versions, the Wayne Enterprise stuff that I got going on there for that. So, oh my goodness gracious. All right. I had to pause just for 2 seconds and just tell them clearly not going to be on that call. Sorry about that, guys. I figure they would know it's 3:46 and I was going to be late. This is obviously significantly late. Okay, let me go through this. Is there a way to extend the time the system allows? Yeah, so I'm not sure what's going on there. It doesn't log me out. So one thing that probably is happening, and if y'all don't know what he's talking about, there's an option that says remember me. So if you have a tab open, it'll never log you out if the tab is open, because there's always checks happening and logging you in all the time for notification and everything else. However, if you close that tab, there's still supposed to be a session, a cookie session that's being pulled in to allow you to continue to be logged in after it. I need to investigate what's going on there. I think it has to do with the URL that you're on, your private URL. But I haven't confirmed that yet. So if it's happening to you on app.ligna.io, then it's a global issue. But if it's only happened on your domain, that will allow me to pinpoint it. I just have not had a chance to take a look at that. By the way, if you have a tab open, should never log you out, because you're always logged in, because there's always stuff happening while you're sitting here for notifications, things like that. Is there a tag that shows that it's personalized dashboard where it shows the Ligna IDS? A little confused on that, but hopefully I covered a little bit about that as far as the tags that you can use to personalize. These little pop-ups for new users, can you just add a couple of them for email domain setup lines, company name setups? It could also provide less support. It could also help provide less support. It also would need a color switch because it won't work with colors. Yeah, so that whole thing needs to just get taken out, because it doesn't make sense in a lot of cases as far as if they don't have access to those modules. Not only that, it would be super easy to allow you to build your own within the platform itself. And that's something we certainly need to address for net new users, because it really should just, you should be able to customize what you want it to pop up to, because you may turn off a module that they don't have access to, and it's still kind of going through that. So that's a good point. Is there a way to get external links for the forms? So I think you're talking about embedding forms. I may be wrong, but if you come over here to templates, data forms, you create your data form. Then once you go into your data form, you have your own little embed script right over here, right here. So if you take this and copy this and use this on any website, it will show. Now, some of the troubles that people have when they do this is we also have this tracking pixel. This tracking pixel has two parts to it. So if you're not using our data forms, you could actually just drop this pixel on your website, and depending on the form, you may not have to do anything. It may just scrape the leads automatically. If it doesn't scrape the leads automatically, watch the video about mapping your data pixel data form to the form that you have on your site. However, if you're using our embed tag for our data forms and the pixel, there's a little part to this pixel. There's two parts. This is part one. This is part two. Or I'm sorry, this is part one. This is part two. This second part right here is if you do not have our data forms on your site, just delete that. Then this is all related to the tracking, web analytics, and all that great stuff that comes with the lead. If you ever seen a lead come in that's actually came from a pixel, you'll see everything that they've done on your website and how long they spent on your website. So just remove that. But yeah, you just, again, go in, once you create your data form and then set up on the right-hand side, you'll see the embed link. Okay, what about redeploying pages to other parents like themes do? Yeah, that's 100% what we need to do for sure. Like showing my ecosystem or show to specific user groups or things like that. If you want to share like your assets across other parent accounts for like industries, that's where it's going, right? Is that collaboration with parent accounts that you have with child roles, because parent accounts, again, there's the ability to create all the other additional stuff that you're doing in roles is why in most cases you put somebody in a parent account, but you lose that collaboration between the two. Okay. I do it with KB pages, so it should be possible. So with KB pages, I have it based on roles, but not parent accounts. I only do that with the system courses, but I'm sure we're talking about the same thing as far as turning on your own pages across the board for them. The page content that I can add HTML or will not work. Can I build a website out like the theme engine and page content setting? So again, you can build the website and iframe the website directly in, as long as you don't share that link with anybody. You don't have to worry about it getting indexed, or you don't have to worry about customers finding that URL, or you can hide it into the internal pages of an existing website and link it that way. So you can use your own sites at external, and then of course inside the pages you can click on view source. I'm sorry, not view source, but you can click on this little icon here, tools, source code, and drop your source code in. And of course you can override everything else you want. Okay. Can I use a webhook to connect Ligna with other apps tools for transferring data? Yes. So I do have the API documentation. Actually, next week, we're going to have some fun advanced stuff around webhooks. I think there's going to be a cool little point you in the right direction. I have webhooks that you can use and build your own. And the only issue is where you would host them at. We have a UI webhook builder that's, quite frankly, may put us in that whole little realm of connecting apps all over the place, because once you see that, it's just a matter of mapping, the response you get from another app to the fields that are in our system, and boom, we're already doing all that. So I will send you the documentation for that. It's also on our Facebook page. There's a post there as well, so you can take a look at that. So yes, you absolutely could do that. Is there a way that I can embed a chat directly to Ligna for my parent account, so offer my client customer support in the portal? So yeah, you can. It's not parent account, it's parent account level. So inside system and then branding, you have this little script section. That script is for this one account and all the child accounts within it. So if again, this goes back to the ability to push stuff out to your existing parent accounts that are across the board. However, if you're setting up your customer to give them a portal and all these things, you can drop in your own scripts right there in their branding section, right? And so that'll give you the ability to do that as well. I have an AI customer support agent that I can embed. We want her to manage the tickets, maybe with user roles. Where could I iframe for her to be able to do her work? So or manage the tickets maybe within you. Yeah, so you would set up a user role. So if you set up a user role and you want this person to manage tickets, so like a support role, client support role, turn on all the stuff you want, but you're going to want to turn on manage users and manage tickets. And tickets, manage tickets right here. In addition to that, if you want to drop in that AI chat support agent piece, you could throw that into the back end where I put in the branding. You throw that script and they'll show up across the board. There's a lot of people that are using their own chat systems behind that. Can we create a data display widgets of existing widgets in our customized dashboard? So how Instagram or Zoom are integrated? Yeah, they're integrated for me. Instagram most certainly will be part of the June 30th release, but Zoom is only integrated for me on a dev side right now. We're still working on approval there. Sorry, I'm showing you that. I want to get you excited on that one yet. Okay, Facebook lead forms to data forms. What should I do if I need to trigger different workflows or cadences based on the form? Currently, I'm using ad hoc Pabbly S&T automation. I want to start using the CRM for that. Okay, so we need more control on the type of Facebook form that's coming across. Right now, it's all leads that come in through Facebook. So of course, we need to be able to segment what form inside of your Facebook page that you actually want to segment for different workflows. Still working on that. That's going to be super cool as well. 100% understand why you need that. Is there a way to use the phone number or fax number or to add a fax by email option in the system? Not sure what that is. But if you want to use the tags of your profile for phone number, you certainly can do that. And then they just put their, the rep puts their VoIP line into their profile settings, and that's what shows up on their signature, part of the email and things like that. Yes, definitely need to provide the tags. I know you don't have time today, but could you create a training for webhooks? Yeah, it's funny, Charles, I did not read that. I just said that before that, and I didn't cheat and read that. I actually came up with that on my own. So we're on the same page there for sure. When buying additional user and phone number, pops up to pay a one-time payment a monthly, which option should I was not aware that it's showing you a monthly option. It's a one-time option. It's monthly. The only one times are going to be your SMS, keywords, voicemail drops. Those monthly, the ones that count towards your monthly. Users are not. Those are, users are always monthly. They're not one time. I'm not sure why it's doing that. I have to take a look at that, but it definitely needs to be monthly. In the page content, I can add HTML, work with. Well, yes, you can. So I guess you asked that again. If a customer is already in a lead in Ligna system, can they also be a lead inside of another Ligna? Yeah. So leads, by the way, can exist. Multiple leads can exist in your account if you set up workspaces. So workspaces, the way our system works is you can only have one lead with the same email address either in your global workspace or in a single workspace. The reason for that is as you go through and add them into different campaigns, data forms, the lead is merged with that data. And so it shows you every data form that they've subscribed to. And you can filter by whatever data form that they're subscribed to. However, if you create another workspace, then that lead can actually go into it. So you would have a duplicate in a different workspace. That's helpful if you're selling, multiple brands and companies and stuff like that. So yes, that certainly happens. And again, not again, because I haven't said this, but if you're in a shared workspace, that's the same thing too, by the way. So on the owner of a lead, someone else in your organization could have that same lead, and it would be duplicate because they're not part of the same shared workspace as well. So there is duplicate leads. It's just not duplicate in the same workspace, within the platform. Okay, if a customer, okay, I said that. Can you help me with the funnel issue after this meeting? Most certainly. It's been a pleasure. Absolutely. So I got 2 minutes. So I'm going to try to get these last questions in here. Having an issue with a chatbot integrated using the script section, the chatbot shows, but when you interact with the bot, the answers never show. When I test it on another platform using the same code, it works. Probably need to show you this in a private session. Yeah, definitely do, because there may be a conflicting script that's happening. And if you're testing in your own account, it's probably an issue with intercom if you're on the top level system account. Check it out in a user role and see if you're still experiencing that. If that's the case, I may have to turn off, or you would have to set up a parent account that doesn't have access to the top intercom and test it that way. So that would be great to know more about. So please throw that in the chat, and or intercom chat, I'll take a look at it. So, all right, well, this one was supposed to be an hour. I apologize. Hopefully we covered a lot of stuff that you had questions about. Hopefully it makes sense about the portal system and what you can do with it. Of course, that's evolving. I can't wait for Thursday. I've been waiting for this release just because I have so many use cases that I personally want to do it. And other than that, I appreciate everyone. Hit me up on the intercom chat or Facebook if you have any additional questions. Other than that, hopefully you can join me on Thursday. This will be recorded and I will upload it here shortly. So I appreciate everyone. Enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you all so much.